Have you ever seen someone stay calm in moments that would make you explode? In a meeting, they are attacked directly, yet they quietly take notes. On the road, someone cuts them off, and they keep driving. When criticized, they respond briefly. No defense, no anger. Watching them, you wonder, is this numbness, or is it another kind of power? Most of us know the opposite. A raised eyebrow ruins our morning. A careless comment lingers all day. One rude interruption feels like an assault on our worth. We call it a natural reaction. But is it? Or is it just an old program, running in the unconscious that anyone can push like a button? Carl Jung once said, "What irritates us in others often shows what is unresolved in ourselves." So maybe calm is not coldness. Maybe it is the sign of psychological maturity, a state where you hold the choice instead of giving it away. What no one taught you is this: between stimulus and response, there is always a gap, a silent pause, and in that pause lies freedom. What drains you every day is not the big disasters. It is the small collisions that keep striking your emotions. You open your phone, see a short message, and immediately feel disrespected. In a meeting, one phrase like, "You didn't get it," is enough to silence you. Your heart races. You can't focus on the rest. Back home, a careless comparison from someone close can ruin your entire evening. These moments seem small, but together, they become a massive weight. Notice this. A single online comment can keep you awake at night. One annoyed look can erase your drive for the whole day. A trivial argument can echo in your head for weeks. It's not because others are that powerful. It's because you were never taught how to stand still in your own emotions. You are used to reacting instantly. Your face flushes. You snap back. Or you swallow it whole. Then you carry the consequences. Your mood spirals. Your energy drains. Your focus shatters. And your entire day is run by a button someone else pressed. The real pain is here. You are no longer the owner of your inner world. A compliment lifts you high. A criticism drags you down. People don't even need to try to manipulate you. Just their presence is enough to swing you like a pendulum. And when this habit repeats, you start believing the labels. I'm hot-headed. I'm weak. I'm too sensitive. But the truth is different. You are simply living through old reflexes. This is the vicious loop. You let others decide your state. You lose your inner freedom. You brand yourself as a victim, and the loop eats away at your days. The question is no longer, how can I stop people from annoying me? The real question is, why do I allow them to touch me so easily? Carl Jung once said, "What irritates us in others often reveals what we have not reconciled within ourselves." This is the principle of the shadow, the part of you that you hide, deny, or never dare to face. You think it has disappeared. In truth, it only hides in the unconscious, waiting for someone else to touch it without knowing. If there is still a wound of inferiority inside you, one sarcastic remark from a superior can make you feel small. If you still fear being abandoned, one moment of silence from someone close can keep you restless all night. If you still crave recognition, a single criticism is enough to throw you off balance. You believe others are hurting you, but the truth is, they are only pressing on scars you never healed. This is the critical link. Anger is not about the present. It is about the past. It is not just a reaction to the situation. It is a mirror showing the part of your shadow you have yet to integrate. Like an old wound, even the slightest touch hurts. Not because the touch is strong, but because the wound is still raw. Jung emphasized this. The more you deny the shadow, the more it controls you. The more you pretend to be strong, the faster you collapse when someone criticizes you. The more you try to prove your generosity, the more betrayed you feel when someone appears ungrateful. The shadow always wins when you act as if it doesn't exist. This explains why you are so easily triggered. Other people are only mirrors. The intense reaction is your own. And unless you understand this principle, you will spend your life blaming the outside world instead of asking the only question that matters: which shadow inside me has just been touched? Once you dare to look, anger is no longer an enemy. It becomes a signal. It points to where healing is needed. And in the moment you realize this, others lose their power over you. They are no longer holding the strings. They are only mirrors reflecting what is hidden within you. But understanding is only the beginning. The deeper question is, how do you stop this unconscious loop? How do you move from being controlled to reclaiming choice? Jung believed the answer lies in one subtle psychological mechanism: the small gap between stimulus and response. And within that gap is where freedom begins. Have you ever wondered why a single passing remark can make you explode, while someone else can remain calm even under far harsher attacks? The difference is not that they face less criticism than you. The difference is that they know how to live inside an invisible gap, the gap between what happens and how they respond. In psychology, that gap is called the reaction gap. For most of us, it barely exists. Someone frowns, and we instantly feel anxious. Someone criticizes us, and we fire back before we even breathe. It's like a light switch being flipped and the bulb flaring instantly. But in reality, between the switch and the light, there are wires. And inside those wires, there's a tiny delay, a delay long enough for you to choose. The problem is that your unconscious has been programmed to erase that delay. Since childhood, you were taught to react fast. Be obedient and you'll be praised. Stay silent and you'll avoid trouble. Please others and you'll be safe. You got used to jumping straight to an answer instead of learning to stand still for a beat. That missing beat is why you became a puppet for anyone who knows how to push the right button. Think back to the last time you lost your temper. Someone said something, and before you could inhale, the words of retaliation shot out. You knew you'd regret it, but the arrow had already left the bow. In that moment, you lost your choice. Not because they were stronger, but because you never trained yourself to stand inside the gap. Here's the turning point. Emotions arrive, but you are not forced to act on them right away. An emotion is data, not a command. It's like a notification popping up on your phone. You can read it, dismiss it, or respond later. But most of us open it immediately, then get dragged into conversations we never needed. The real twist is this: other people don't make you angry. They only send signals. You decide whether to turn that signal into rage. And in that space between those two steps is where freedom begins. Of course, the first time you try it won't be easy. Your body will fight back. Your heart will pound. Your breath will tighten. And your hands will want to react instantly. But if you pause for even 3 seconds, you'll feel the power shift. You're no longer the puppet. You're the one holding the strings. And those 3 seconds, small as they are, can flip the entire outcome. And this is only the surface. Stay with it long enough and you'll discover a harder truth. The ones holding the buttons to your emotions are not always strangers. Often, they are the very people closest to you. And when that happens, the reaction gap is no longer just a technique. It becomes a trembling confrontation that cuts straight to the heart. Imagine your emotions are like a television. Every time someone says or does something, it's as if they're holding the remote control. A single insult can switch to the channel of anger. A disapproving look can flip to the channel of insecurity. A compliment can turn up the volume of excitement. You sit there surfing from one channel to another, believing they're the ones holding the remote. But the truth is, the remote has never left your hand. The problem is that you unconsciously hand over the connection. Every time you react instantly, it's as if you allow the signal from their remote to run straight into your screen. But if you unplug that connection, they can press as many buttons as they want, and the channel will not change. This metaphor has 3 important lessons. First, emotions are not spontaneous. They are triggered. Others may try to press buttons, but the effect only happens when you let the signal through. Second, you cannot stop people from holding a remote, but you can control whether the connection is switched on or off. Third, and most crucial, there is one button almost everyone ignores: the pause button. That pause is the reaction gap. The moment you press pause, you are not denying the emotion. You are simply creating space to ask, do I want to open this channel? And that question alone shifts you from being passive to becoming the chooser. Think of the last time you were insulted. Normally, you would have snapped back instantly, like a TV flipping channels out of control. But if in that moment you had kept the remote in your hand, you could have pressed pause. In those few seconds, you were no longer the one being pushed. You were the one deciding. Manipulators understand this game well. They press constantly, sulking, flattering, threatening, going silent. And they wait to see if you change the channel. If you react, they win. If you keep the remote, they lose their power. The remote metaphor reminds you that emotional freedom is not about erasing anger or fear, but about knowing you always have the right to choose the channel. And every time you dare to press pause, you prove to yourself that the remote has always been in your hand. It was never lost. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, in how many recent situations were you truly the one choosing your emotions? Or were you only reacting to signals other people sent your way? Think back to yesterday morning, when a coworker walked past without greeting you, and your mood sank for hours. Remember the time you sent a message that was seen but left unanswered, and your mind spiraled into the loop of, what did I do wrong? Recall the evening when a family member made a careless comparison, and you sat in silence for hours, filled with a heavy taste of failure. In all 3 moments, no one actually did anything serious. Yet you let the remote slip from your hand, and they pressed buttons without even knowing. Here's the next question. Do you still know which emotions are truly yours, and which are only imported reactions borrowed from others? How often have you carried your boss's irritation home, dragged your friend's disappointment into your sleep, or worn your family's tension across your shoulders? Slowly, you begin to live more with borrowed feelings than with your own original ones. The real danger is not that you get angry. It's that you no longer know where the boundary lies. Someone frowns, and you feel guilty. Someone goes silent, and you feel at fault. Someone complains, and you feel obligated to carry their weight. Step by step, you lose the ability to stand still within yourself. So ask directly, when was the last time you pressed pause on your own remote? When was the last time you let someone stay upset without rushing to fix it for them? If the answer feels too far away, perhaps it's time to take that remote back, before your whole life becomes nothing more than a television playing on channels chosen by everyone else but you. Many people believe calmness means coldness. But in truth, calmness is not the absence of emotion. It is the ability to stop reacting on command. It is not indifference. It is a conscious choice. You keep the remote in your hand instead of letting it pass from one person to another. We grew up inside a distorted frame. React immediately and you are strong. Stay silent and you are weak. Get angry and you prove you are not easy to push around. But look back carefully. How many times did you react instantly, only to apologize later? How many times did you explode, then sit in regret for words you wished you had not said? The truth is simple. Instant reaction is not a sign of strength. It only proves you were controlled. Reframing begins with the names you give things. When you stay silent in front of an attack, it is not submission. It is you pressing pause to keep the remote in your hand. When you stop for 3 seconds before replying, it is not indecision. It is you creating space to choose. When you refuse to step into a pointless argument, it is not avoidance. It is the protection of energy for something more valuable. The language you use will shape your experience. Instead of saying, "I couldn't control myself," say, "I am choosing my reaction." Instead of, "They made me furious," say, "They sent a signal. I do not have to change the channel." Instead of, "I must answer right now," say, "I can pause." Every time you change the wording, you pull power back from the unconscious. But prepare yourself for the reactions around you. Those who are used to your quick anger, your quick guilt, will not accept the new version of you so easily. They may call you cold, selfish, or changed. But that is not the truth about you. It is their discomfort when the remote no longer connects. And their discomfort is not yours to carry. One of the strongest inner reminders you can use is this: their feelings are theirs. My decisions are mine. Repeat it when your heart races, when your lips are ready to fire back. This phrase works like a password protecting the remote. It reminds you that you do not have to watch the channel someone else chooses. If you keep this new language alive, you will notice anger does not disappear, but it no longer commands you. It arrives, you observe it, then you choose. And that is the crucial difference between someone who gets triggered at every touch and someone who owns their inner life. Because emotional freedom is not about never feeling anger. It is about knowing that even when anger shows up, you still hold the right to decide whether to turn it on or turn it off. To keep the emotional remote in your hand is not just an idea. It requires practice through small steps repeated every day. The first action: practice the 3-second pause. Next time you hear a remark that hits your pride, instead of firing back, take a deep breath and count silently. Those 3 seconds are the buffer that lets you press pause, reminding you that the choice is yours. The second action: write instead of speaking. When emotions rise high, open a note and write down what you were about to say. The moment you see the words on a screen or a page, you realize many of them are not worth releasing. Writing creates space between thought and action. The third action: train the third-person observer. In conversation, imagine you are standing outside, watching yourself interact. From that angle, it becomes easier to see who is holding the remote and whether you are handing it over or keeping it. These actions are small, but that is the point. They are small enough to begin right now. And each time you do them, you strengthen a new habit. To let conscious choice lead, not old reflexes. Calmness is not numbness. It is a skill, forged one pause at a time. If you do not change, the cost will not explode all at once. It will erode quietly, day after day. You will keep living like a television left connected, where anyone can press a button. A single remark can steal your entire afternoon. A frown can make you blame yourself for a whole week. One online comment can drain all your energy. Somewhere along the way, you stopped being the owner of your inner world and became just a screen reflecting every signal from outside. The deeper danger is that you begin to believe this is your nature. You label yourself as, "I'm hot-tempered," "I'm weak," "I'm overly sensitive." Those labels become invisible chains, keeping you inside an emotional cage you never even try to unlock. But when you dare to change, a new quality reveals itself. You do not need to suppress. You do not need to pretend to be numb. You simply keep the remote in your hand. Then a compliment can make you happy, but it no longer steers you. A criticism can slow you down, but it cannot break you. You become unpredictable, harder to manipulate, because no one knows which button to press to turn you anymore. This calm does not make you distant. On the contrary, it allows you to be fully present. You can listen without being swept away. You can respond instead of react. And this very steadiness makes others respect you more, because they see you are not someone who can be easily pulled by invisible strings. The final philosophy here is clear. Freedom is not about avoiding anger. It is about knowing that even when anger appears, you still hold the choice of whether to open the channel or not. Picture a small remote inside you, one that no one else can touch. Each time you are attacked, each time emotions rise, you can choose to hold it firmly in your hand. No one has the right to press the buttons unless you hand it over. And every time you press pause, you remind yourself that this power was never lost. This video cannot remove all the anger inside you. It can only remind you that you have another choice, a choice you may have never thought you had. Every day you will face countless signals, a look, a word, a silence. But they are only signals. You are the one who decides whether to turn the channel on or not. If today you want to try, begin with one small situation. When someone irritates you, hold your silence for 3 seconds and ask yourself, do I really want to watch this channel? That one question is enough to take back the remote. And perhaps the journey ahead is not only about holding the remote, but about learning to turn calmness into a new source of strength. But that is a conversation we will save for a deeper layer when you are ready.